or against our shared Abrahamic family is not representing Islam, but desecrating it. Anti-Semitic terrorism has no legitimacy, no excuse, and no shelter within authentic Islamic leadership. We stand in unbreakable and unapologetic solidarity with the Jewish community of Australia and with Jewish communities worldwide. Your grief is our grief. Your pain is shared deeply by Muslims across the globe who refuse to remain silent in the face of evil. The light of Hanukkah, a symbol of resilience and faith in the face of darkness, will never be extinguished by those who worship hatred and death.
King Charles
this
is the
terrorist
king,
attack
head of
must
the
also
church,
be understood
as
a warning to other democracies, including Canada. As Mark Dewowitz of the FDD rightly stated today, I quote, "Sydney is a warning. Toronto has the same ingredients: a feckless, cowardly elite and deepening Islamist penetration, driving Jew hatred to levels Canada has not seen in modern times." End quote. When governments are permissive towards extremist rhetoric, when anti-Semitism is downplayed or selectively ignored, and when promised federal security funding for vulnerable religious and community institutions fails to materialize, the result is not tolerance, the result is terror. Canada must not mirror the political failures that have allowed violence to erupt elsewhere. A federal posture that hesitates to confront anti-Semitism decisively and takes no meaningful action against the Muslim Brotherhood and its affiliated networks risks sending a dangerous signal to extremists that consequences are unlikely and victims are expendable.
I think it's about time we get the truth out about these people and do exactly who they are.
To reject anti-Semitism without hesitation,
King Charles is one
to
of
confront
them.
extremist ideologies within our own communities,
Well,
and to actively build
one,
bonds of
Siddiq
respect
Khan.
and protection with our Jewish brothers and sisters as fellow children of Abraham. Silence is complicity. And being neutral in the face of terror is a moral failure. We further call upon Australian authorities to pursue not only the perpetrators, but also the networks, ideologues, imams, supporters, and enablers behind them, with the full force of justice. Terror must be crushed decisively, and those who incite it, fund it, promote it, or excuse it must be exposed and held accountable without exception.
And they've all been
May
doing
the Almighty grant strength to the bereaved, healing to the wounded, and justice for the victims.
Thank you,
May He protect all innocent people from this plague of hatred and terror. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, amen. God bless.
Words that was from the Imam. Long overdue.
I've watched it, this is twice I've watched it that now, and I do like what he's saying. And it's, I'm shame on King Charles.
I'm still,
shame on them all.
I'm still in shock. It hasn't been 24 hours.
Considering Australia is meant to be like our
the massacre that occurred in Bondi in Sydney, Australia.
Shame on King Charles.
This was an event that my dear brother-in-law, Rabbi Oman,
David
and his wife Shirley put on for every Hanukkah for the last 40 years.
A lot of them.
It is one of the most popular events of the year.
Shame on
When I got the call last night at about 1 a.m. California time that there's a mass shooting.
Because they are the terrorists.
Mass casualties.
Yep, the governments are the terrorists, you see.
Instantly.
I've been saying we don't have government, we've got terrorists. But it's around the world, isn't it? It's what they've created everywhere. Now we need to know why and who. Why and who this is. What they're doing this for and why.
In the world to celebrate a holiday.
What? I was going to say, no, it's not because of the Jews.
A day before
there's a lot of different things, I think. Something else.
When I heard that news and I heard that my nephew was shot in the chest, that they were doing everything possible to save his life.
It's no funny.
About an hour or so later, I learned the terrible news
Weird.
that he died. This is my nephew, Rabbi Eli Schlanger, 40 years old.
What?
A young, energetic, beautiful human being whose whole life was dedicated to helping others. When he got married in 1996, I was there for the wedding ceremony. I celebrated this marriage between my niece, who's the daughter of my youngest sister. We are very close in life as we grew up together. We are one of 10 children. I am number 8, she's number 9. And we were very close growing up together. Our families were bonded with each other. Her husband was my study partner in school. And we became like brothers. Wow. We talk every single Thursday night for the last 40 years. And who could have ever imagined that he would be sharing with me a commonality that we never ever imagined. 6 years ago, I was a victim of a mass shooting at our synagogue at Chabad Poway on April 27, 2019, when an anti-Semite 19-year-old white supremacist breached our synagogue with AR-15, shot and killed Lori Kay, and then tried to shoot and assassinate me. I'm standing right there in the lobby. Children were playing behind me. Instinctively, I turned around to save the children. But as I was running towards the children, he got off 4 rounds. These 2 fingers were shot, but the rest of me survived. My brother-in-law now shares the same experience of surviving a mass shooting. But he lost a son-in-law, an associate rabbi, an assistant that he relied on for everything. My brother-in-law is the head of the Jewish Judicial Court in Sydney, Australia. He just dedicated a beautiful brand new synagogue. He could have never accomplished all that without his son-in-law, Rabbi Eli. And now, on the first day of Hanukkah, Rabbi Eli has passed away, has been killed, has been slaughtered, has been murdered. By who? By jihadist Muslims. What the Imam just did is most notable and should be saluted. The Imam said the words that needs to be repeated by every Imam. It can't just be one voice. It has to be a universal voice. People always question, why is there Islamophobia?
There isn't.
What's the difference between anti-Semitism and Islamophobia? Anti-Semitism is baseless hatred. I hate a Jew. I don't know why. I'm just told I'm supposed to hate them. There is no factional reason why to hate a Jew. A Jewish person is a person who lives by the book. God gave them a mandate to be a light unto the nations. And everything we have done in 3,337 years is to promote life, love, happiness, prosperity, to do whatever we can to help humanity. Islamophobia is a genuine phobia based on facts. Look at the last 77 years. Yeah. Look at who has been terrorizing the world. Who has terrorized Israel for 77 years. Who is hijacking planes. Who is tearing down Twin Towers and killing 4,000 innocent civilians in the heart of New York City. Who is Hamas? Who is Houthi? Who is Hezbollah? Who is Iran?
Who's the boss?
Go down the list of ISIS, Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, go down the list and they'll probably have them back to England and America and that,
law? Is this what your religion teaches and promotes? Death, carnage? This Imam, may God bless his soul, needs to spread his word. He needs to enlist his fellow colleagues This has to be one voice, one opinion from all the clerics internationally condemning this terrible terrorist attack.
And King Charles won't me.
The slaughter, the murder of innocent civilians in Bondi Beach has no place in the 21st century.
Anyway. He's not English, he ain't bringing my name, but that's name down.
The terrorists.
My God, that's what terrorists make. My God, that's all fought in the war.
Father trains their son to join
my granddad's all fought for this country, for England. And now look at it.
And that is exactly what happened.
Because of King Charles and them.
One could only imagine how a religion that can promote such behavior has no place in the 21st century.
Nope.
This is behavior from the 7th and 8th century.
It, though.
And if you disagree, then you must denounce it. As the Imam said,
and he won't disagree.
If you don't protest it, you are complicit.
Yeah.
He came forth.
If you don't contest it, it's complicit.
He is not complicit. Our hearts are shattered. We are living in a state of numbness, of pain and suffering. I can't imagine what my sister, my brother-in-law, what her daughter, the widow. I can imagine a widow at such a young age. A father of 5 children, just had a baby 2 months ago. The shock, the terror, the trauma that they are living through right now. Innocent civilians who their only reason why they got killed was because they were Jewish and they were celebrating Hanukkah. The miracle of Hanukkah is a message to all. 2,190 years ago, they tried to extinguish the light of Judaism in Israel. They failed. We were victory. And that is what the menorah teaches us. The candle of the menorah, the light of the menorah reminds us that the flame of Judaism has never been extinguished or dimmed. No matter what they have done to us, we continue on shining bright and light. Today we just had an event in the city that my wife and I have been here for the last 40 years in Poway, California. The same city with the mass shooting that I survived on April 27, 2019. We had a huge, over 200 people show up, Jewish and non-Jewish, all members of the community from all walks of faith, came to witness the launching of Hanukkah on the grounds of the United States of America. We all had a moment of silence in solidarity with what happened in Bondi Beach in Sydney yesterday. This is America, the land of the free. What happened in Sydney, as the Imam said, is a warning to the other countries that are allowing the Muslims to run amok
England
of their faith,
King
of
Charles.
their religion. Why? Acting with such terrorism and death and destruction. If the Muslims don't believe that this is Islam, then there needs to be a unified condemnation, a unified protest from all the clerics and the imams and the ayatollahs. They need to all come out and condemn it at the strongest terminology to stop this carnage from continuing. The world cannot tolerate it and should not tolerate this any more and ever again. So please join in with me with prayer for the slain families, those that are murdered. May God heal their hearts. For those that are injured, may you heal very soon. For the rest of the Australian community, be strong and bold. Understand, we cannot change what happened, we can change how we react. The trauma, the sadness that you all just experienced is a wake-up call that Australia needs to check itself and to make sure that it does not harbor such terrorists, savage, like bloodthirsty barbarians to live amongst their civilians.
Like King Charles.
We hope that this doesn't happen again anywhere, but it's certainly a wake-up call. May this Imam be blessed for his courage and his bravery to speak the truth. Yeah. And may we all pray to God that we never ever have to deal with this again. I pray that my sister and brother-in-law, her daughter...
Sorry.
Never ever have to deal with this again. I pray that my sister and brother-in-law, her daughter and their family can begin the healing process. Being loved throughout the world is going to cuddle them with unconditional love. And all they want, like my brother-in-law says, we need to react to this tragedy with positivity. We need to act to this tragedy with renewed strength and bolder faith in God, and to get closer to our religions and to our observances and to God, so that the deaths will not be in vain, but that something good will come out of it. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. That is the name of our channel. I created this channel after the tragedy of the mass shooting that I survived, to turn tragedy into prayer and hope. Let's pray and hope that their tragedies will not be in vain, but we'll do random acts of goodness and kindness in their memory, that we should see greater and better times with the coming of the Messiah speedily in our days. God bless you. God loves you.
God bless. God bless my little girl. Hope she's okay. Because anything could happen to her. This will be all their fault.
Today, Hong Kong's courts ruled that Jimmy Lai was guilty of foreign collusion under the national security law which Beijing imposed on the city 5 years ago. They also found him guilty of conspiring to publish seditious materials. Jimmy Lai is a British citizen. He has been targeted by the Chinese and Hong Kong governments for peacefully exercising his right to freedom of expression. This was a politically motivated prosecution which I strongly condemn. Jimmy Lai now faces the prospect of a sentence which for a man of 78 years could mean the rest of his life in prison. I call again for Jimmy Lai's immediate release. On my instruction, the Foreign Office has today summoned the Chinese ambassador to underline our position in the strongest terms. My acting Consul General was present at court to bear witness today. And for many in this House, and for the large diaspora community living in the UK, it is heartbreaking that such a violation of a British man's rights...
Oh. I'm fine with this. Where the fuck's this? Australia, possibly, is it? Not the UK.
I've noticed question on the Sydney terrorist attack, northwest of Spithead.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask a question of which I have given private notice. The question is as follows: to ask His Majesty's Government what assessment they have made of any implications of the terrorist attack in Sydney for the United Kingdom.
My Lords, as the Prime Minister and Home Secretary have said, the government are appalled by this act of terrorism targeting the Jewish community on Bondi Beach. It's particularly horrifying that it happened at a Hanukkah celebration. My thoughts are with the victims, their families and all those affected. There is no specific intelligence of a linked threat to the UK at this time, but we must remain vigilant and are working with the Community Security Trust and police forces to support Jewish communities, including Hanukkah events here in the UK. The United Kingdom stands firmly with Australia and with the Jewish community of Sydney and those here in the UK at this terrible time.
My Lords, first I would like to give some praise for the bravery of Mr. Ahmed in tackling one of the terrorists. He's clearly a better human being than me in that he took the rifle and then put it down, because I would have shot him. Can I say to my noble friend, the Minister, that I'm afraid it appears that a small portion of our British people are under serious threat, and I don't think it's any good in pretending otherwise. Can I ask my noble friend, could he confirm that there is positive recognition of that fact by the government, and what action can we take to make that proportion of our population safer?
I agree wholeheartedly with my noble friend on the bravery of the individual. I watched on television yesterday the pictures of the individual tackling the armed gunman, and that is a bravery about which he should be commended, and I wish him well, because I believe he was shot in the attempt, and I wish him well in his recovery quickly. The UK government does recognise that there are real threats to the Jewish community, which is why we've invested £28 million this year to protect Jewish places of worship, schools and community centres, and it's why we are passing in the Police and Crime Bill particular measures to ensure that where there is harassment of any community, but obviously the Jewish community in this case is forefront at our mind, that the Metropolitan Police and other police forces can direct actions against those undertaking the harassment in a strong and effective way. This action that took place in Sydney is simply unacceptable, and our thoughts are with the Jewish community in Australia at this time, but also we need to be vigilant about the threat to the Jewish community in the United Kingdom.
And what is Hanukkah? Hanukkah is when families get together, lighting the candles, celebrating the victory of light over darkness. We had another type of family, a father and son, barbarically shooting at will. This morning I went to Marble Arch Synagogue. Rabbi Mendy Vogel spoke to him. His first cousin was Rabbi Eli Schlanger, who was murdered. My Lord's a Holocaust survivor. 10-year-old Matilda, 16 precious souls. May all their memories be for a blessing. My Lords, I'm tired. I'm tired of listening to people saying we'll stand shoulder to shoulder with the community. My Lords, it means nothing when there are dead Jews on the ground, whether in Manchester or in Sydney. If noble Lords are not clear what globalised the Intifada means, it was on our TV screens yesterday. So I asked the noble Lord, the Minister, to act. Such hate speech must be outlawed. Prescribe the IRGC, prescribe the Muslim Brotherhood, and if noble lords and the noble lord and other noble lords wish to show solidarity, come outside to Parliament Square at 6:30 p.m. and join members of the Jewish community to light the Hanukkah candles.
The noble lord should know, and I think he does know, that this government will condemn the attacks, condemn anti-Semitism and stand with the Jewish community. Now, yes, what we are doing, we are putting in resources to support the community safety trust. We're putting in extra powers for the police. We will not tolerate anti-Semitism, and we will continue to keep under review, as he knows, organisations that pose a threat to the safety of members of the United Kingdom community, the Jewish community, but anybody else. And we will keep under review the prescriptions that he has mentioned, but I can't comment on that today. He knows that, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that this government will stand with the Jewish community at this time and condemns those attacks, and will work with anybody to ensure that the scourge of anti-Semitism is ended.
With the words of condolence from the Minister with regards to the innocent victims, as we heard, including a 10-year-old girl and a survivor of the Holocaust. Innocent people targeted purely because they were Jewish, but we also saw an intervention by a bystander who just happened to be Muslim. That emphasises the evil intent of the perpetrators. Can I also commend the Community Security Group for their proactive outreach yesterday to the Jewish community.
Was Muslim, maybe they couldn't see that. Maybe they might shoot
supported over 100 candle lightings across the UK with volunteers. But the Minister must know that there are many children, Jewish children and Jewish students who are particularly worried at this time. Can the Minister say more with regards to how the government is both reassuring but also giving practical security assistance specifically for schools and university campuses for that particularly vulnerable group who are very worried?
The Prime Minister has already tasked both ministers in government to look at what else we can do prior to the events of yesterday. The Prime Minister has also tasked the police forces via the Home Secretary to look at how we can step up security, patrols, reassurance in neighbourhoods where there are synagogues and events occurring. It is absolutely vital that people are free to enjoy their religion, to celebrate their religion, to enjoy their family community events. And I say that not just of the Jewish community, but of all religions, and for those people of none. We cannot accept a situation whereby people with warped views commit atrocious acts of violence against children, women, Holocaust survivors, people enjoying their day on a beach. We cannot accept that circumstance, and this government will work with anybody to ensure that we protect our communities from similar attacks.
Also, the Christian community has a special responsibility to stand in solidarity with the Jewish community, not only in Australia, but in this country and around the world. I'd like to ask the Minister, in the view of the fact that it was revealed that one of the people who had committed this atrocity had already been examined by the Australian police as a potential terrorist. Is there a case in this country for re-examining some people who've been examined in the past?
Yeah, good man. That's a good question,
I hope that
we'll get re-examining,
dickheads. I can't comment upon active live
You've let them all out of jail, you
investigations.
know, but
It would be inappropriate for me to do so as a UK government minister, but also in any UK context it would simply be the same. There has to be a due process to investigate what has happened and why. But self-evidently, we need to ensure that our security services in the United Kingdom, our police services in the United Kingdom, the work that we do in the Home Office and across government, identifies and monitors where there are potential threats and takes action to prevent those threats materialising into the type of action we've taken yesterday. That is an ongoing challenge, but it's something that our security services do on a daily basis.
No, it's not should be ongoing to just get deported.
And I know they have the support of both houses of Parliament in that activity.
Bring them in the fucking first place.
I have to declare an interest because Rabbi Schlanger, who was murdered in this atrocity, was my relative too. My lords, most Jewish festivals are commemorated privately at home or in synagogue, but Hanukkah is celebrated publicly. And that's why my response to this atrocity is going to be to go to Parliament Square this evening to light a Hanukkah menorah proudly and publicly. But so far as a government's response is concerned, and while we are always grateful for support for the Community Security Trust, the debate about Jewish security needs to move away from being about higher walls around our synagogues and more guards outside our schools, and on to the root causes of why we actually need such security. So will the Noble Lord the Minister explain what the government is actually doing in practical terms to counter the extremist ideologies which is driving this anti-Semitic violence, and to remove them and their proponents from our social media, out of our universities and off our streets?
And send them to somewhere else, mate. Well, build a fucking big jail somewhere else, like I've already said.
I can't be with him this evening because I'm in here dealing with the police and crime bill today. But had I not been in here dealing with the police and crime bill, I would certainly be with him to stand in solidarity. That's what we are doing. I've given a range of things that we will do. We are open continually to suggestions as to how we can tackle this scourge. We've already asked the Noble Lord Mann to review anti-Semitism in the National Health Service. We've got a review undertaking and demanding action from universities on action to protect Jewish students. We need to ensure that we encourage what I would hope we should encourage, which is tolerance, understanding and knowledge about different religions, because there's a range of in a multicultural society where we need to have that tolerance. And I reach out to him to look at how we, on a cross-party basis, can ensure that we say the scourge of anti-Semitism, the scourge of intolerance, is one that we need to start from very early on, and to ensure that people live their lives in an open,
No,
tolerant
we can't.
way,
We can't
where
go
their
out the
religion
door.
doesn't require armed guards
We'll
at
get enough
synagogues
money,
and
and then
doesn't
when you
require
do, you
armed
get
guards at schools.
murdered.
But I hope he understands at the moment that
Or
we will
some
support
else.
the Community Security Trust and the police forces to deliver that safety, where now there are self-evidently, given the Manchester attack recently, threats that are live.
Does the Noble Lord agree that urgent steps should be taken to protect our national security and indeed our society by ensuring that those who disseminate anti-Semitic ideas and indeed other vile racist ideas can now expect to be prosecuted for doing so?
I would give the Noble Lord a definitive yes to that. I think there are clear legislation about which police need to monitor in relation to hatred and crimes of harassment, which don't lead to the type of activity we've had yesterday, which is self-evidently a higher level of crime, but which again should be monitored and should be acted upon. There is no place in our society for racism, and that, I hope, has the whole House's support.
What's got to do with it?
I was at a party
Racism.
a few weeks ago for a friend's birthday. Not a school, not a synagogue, not a public place. A Jewish friend celebrating her birthday. She'd organised security for the event, and I expressed surprise, naive. She said it was normal for such a gathering, a social gathering with a lot of the local Jewish community celebrating her birthday. And I was very pleased to see our Prime Minister's photo with he and his wife lighting the candles outside number 10 last night. That was wonderful. And this is not normal, that a group of our society have to have security even at a party. My heart went out to all of those people, including people in this house, that I was messaging yesterday saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, words fail me. I thought that the comments of the Noble Lord Walton were absolutely on point. This is not normal, and I know that my noble friend, the Minister, agrees with me on this, but could he say a little more about what Her Majesty's Government will do to provide education about the current deeply, deeply ugly face
Your Majesty,
of current
that's the
modern
king.
anti-Semitism in the country?
I'm grateful. I think it's really important that we recognise that the government has a responsibility in this area.
No,
and
Your
so
Majesty is obviously
we all
the
have a
king.
responsibility to have no tolerance
And the government. So
of
what will King Charles do
anti-Semitism
with
and
the
no
government
tolerance of
about
racism.
it?
And I will work with anybody through the powers that we have in the Home Office to look at how we can improve performance on those challenges. We need to ensure that from school age level through to universities, through to people in the workplace, that tolerance is simply there and not accepted. And I will do what I can to make sure that the Home Office responds to those challenges in a way to look again at what we need to do to help protect the Jewish community in the United Kingdom.
I declare my interest as the Vice Chair of the APPG on countering extremism, and indeed also register the fact that I was the UK's first countering extremism minister. Where we have failed and repeatedly failed, as my noble friend said on the front bench, and I join with others in sharing with his loss, but that is not enough. What is required is specific action, and some of those suggestions have been given. I welcome the Minister's call, and I'm sure there are many across the House who want to work with him on this objective. There are specific actions we can take. Let's join the Home Office and the Foreign Office together, for example. Let's ban extremist preachers at source. Let's not issue those visas. We cannot let this poisonous ideology destroy what we have built over centuries, which is a coherent, not just tolerant, but a respectful society of all faiths and none.
What them fucking borders do the same in France. Every country needs to do the same.
Question in this private
We
notice
don't
question that
need
this
the
House
military in
will stand
Ukraine, we need them
united
in
against
France.
anti-Semitism and will stand united
No,
to
we
support
need the
people from all
military
faiths
in
to celebrate
France,
and
on the ground in France.
use their faiths in a
We don't
positive,
know about them in
constructive way
England.
to both support their own communities but also
If
to
it
have
comes to
a
just a few on the
multicultural society
streets
where that
to
respect
prevent
is across
things, maybe,
all of our
a
communities.
bit like you said, to
As
try and
the
prevent
Noble
things.
Lord
Oh,
said in in his initial comments, this is not about the Muslim faith. It is about a perverted view of the Muslim faith and about people who are terrorists and murderers. We need to focus on that and to make sure that we stop the radicalisation at source and work across the community to build community understanding, tolerance, and an open and tolerant society that respects everybody. And I know this whole house will join me in
They
that
don't
wish.
understand, you stupid bastard. Oh, why don't they understand? Because they're not going to understand.
From the House of Commons this afternoon.
Oh, the fucking criminals, they're terrorists or whatever, they're not going to understand the fucking word.
Tomorrow. Once the bill returns and all amendments are printed, members have until 12 noon tomorrow, Tuesday, the 16th of December, to table motions or amendments. Members wishing to table should speak to the Public Bill Office as early as possible. This House will consider the bill again tomorrow before the second reading of the Victim of Courts Bill.
Still not said they're going to shut the
I will
borders and
set out
deport.
arrangements for further rounds of ping pong in
Ping
usual
pong,
way
shut them
if
bastard
necessary.
borders, you fucking knobheads, all of them. What one person has said it. It'll take, oh good God, she won't say it. No, good God. Will you say it, woman? Block, shut the borders. No. What the fuck is that? Some sort of going to the circus, that shit. Don't fucking know, but that was stupid.
So let's move forward. I want to show you, this is the other movie that's coming out. It's called Mercy. I had not heard of it, but thankfully one of you guys in the comments.
When will people in the West wake up?
Oh yeah.
When will people in the West wake up?
They fucking won't.
Well, that was Paris during the Charlie Hebdo attack.
What, today? Now?
That was the Manchester arena bombing, killing 22 people. The youngest, by the way, an 8-year-old little girl. Frankly, that should have been a turning point for Britain.
Alright, so show what's been happening. I won't because of King Charles.
And that shocking footage was the aftermath of a terror attack where a refugee rammed into a crowd of 70 people in Germany at a Christmas market. I could go on, couldn't I? In fact, I might. The 7/7 bombings in London and London Bridge terror attacks.
Or build jails so they can
concert terror attack in France, Paris that killed 130 people. The suicide bomb in Brussels, Madrid, train bombings. Hundreds of innocent lives have been lost to Islamist terrorism. And in the aftermath, all that happens are candlelit vigils, politicians offering condolences and vacuous statements of never again, but it always does happen again, doesn't it? But we don't have to live this way. We were warned, not by Westerners, but by Muslims running Arab states.
Yeah.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of lack of decision making, trying to be politically correct,
King Charles, royal family,
assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
He's right, isn't he? That was the foreign minister of UAE, by the way, back in 2017. Why didn't any of our leaders actually listen or even bother to pay attention? We all know why, don't we? Because it didn't suit the political narrative that diversity is our strength. What's happened in Australia is yet another example of the stark reality the West collectively now faces. We now have millions of people living in our country, some of whom, frankly, openly hate our way of life, our values, our governments, and our culture. We've handed some of these people citizenships passports and welcome them to our societies, only then to find out that they hate us. And then sometimes we're able to even deport them because of, guess what, their human rights. And yet, another development this evening. The FBI have announced that over the weekend, they disrupted a credible imminent terrorist threat and arrested 4 individuals connected to the Los Angeles area who were plotting New Year's Eve bombings. They say they were pro-Palestine radicals. But listen, I want to end this on a high note, because one man may have saved countless lives. His name was Ahmed al-Ahmed, a father of 2 children who bravely tackled one of those evil terrorists to the ground and as a result suffered 2 gunshot wounds following it. I hope that man gets the highest possible honour in our collective West. I hope he would be. Let's talk about that, because there's a gentleman that I think is exceptionally brave and has done and shown an act of courage in a similar breath. I'm very pleased to welcome paramedic and knife attack survivor John Rudat. John, such a pleasure to have you back on the show. Perhaps we can just start very briefly as to what happened to you, and then I'd like to know what it was that compelled you to act.
Had to shoot.
Of course, thank you so much for having me on today. It's an absolute honor. My incident was isolated here in Dresden, Germany, where I intervened where a young woman on the train was being assaulted while I was with my host brother and a friend of mine. Late night in Germany, the thing progressed. I tried to de-escalate the situation as much as possible, but the attacker had no intention of leaving without harming somebody. And unfortunately, a man came up from the side while I was handling that situation and flashed me in the face.
And as far as we understand it, John, that we believe these men were migrants in Germany, is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. They were both Syrian nationals and both illegal immigrants in Germany with prior criminal history.
And John, when you saw this, what was going on the train there, on the public transport, what inspired you to say, well, I'm going to step in? You were a very young man, and you had your whole life ahead of you, and these are older men from what I can understand, and 2 of them, by the way, and you decided you're going to go and intervene. What compelled you?
The basic justice, the basic human courtesy that all of us deserve. If I'm on a tram, I'm not going to sit by and watch a woman be assaulted and harassed, no matter the country that I'm in. Whether I'm a visitor or it's my own country, that is wrong. And I'm going to intervene, and it's wrong.
John, when we see men like Ahmed al-Ahmed in Australia, who really was incredibly brave in front of a man wielding what looks like a shotgun, the man took 2 bullets as a result. Do you feel some sort of connection to people like that who have done something so incredibly brave that many of us would even be compelled to do? Do you feel some connection to people like that, John?
Deeply. Ahmed is an absolute beacon to how people should approach these situations. Even the intelligence that he demonstrated waiting for the gunman to cock back his shotgun to enter and try to apprehend the gun, disarm him, and neutralize the situation, and he did that perfectly. He deserves, as you said before, the highest honor Western Europe has to offer.
John, on a final note on that, have you had any recognition by the German state for the work that you did saving that woman?
Very much so. Today, in fact, I'm in Berlin. I referenced you guys were talking about Zelensky's visit earlier. We were visiting here while he was here, and I had some talks with the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, and I truly hope and now believe and feel that there is a future for a strong Germany.
In fact, brilliant stuff, John. You also deserve a medal for what you've done. I hope you get that one day. John Rudat, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. Let's get the thoughts of my panel here in the studio.
Oh, look, got somewhere else. Sorry. One sec. Oh, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's Paul Farm gone?
We're asking for the public assistance in identifying.
Did I not just see Paul Farm before? Yeah, scared to choose, yeah. I don't know what was scared though. Did I not? Where's that gone?
We're asking for the public assistance in identifying this individual that we're about to show you, and we'll release this video on Twitter and our Twitter account momentarily. I'm going to turn to the video behind us. I'll be able to show you in 2 seconds. Officer Mangan, if you can just activate the videos up. So this is the first video that we're showing you. This is the individual walking. It's on the sidewalk of Benevolent. And this is prior to the incident. Here we go again with this video too, Mike.
I know, right.
And there are as many questions that we all have as are unanswered questions. There are as many questions that we all have as are unanswered questions. There are many questions I will also ask today, Mr. Speaker, but the Prime Minister needs to do 3 things. The Prime Minister needs to come clean about what he knew and when he knew it. Yes. Not send his junior ministers to cover for him. The Prime Minister.
Oh, where is he? Why is he fled the UK? Why is he run away again? Keir Starmer's a wanker. He might as well run away.
For the appointment of Lord Mandelson as ambassador to Washington. But the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, is not here because he is hiding from Parliament, hiding from questions.
Yay! IDP!
Confidence in him.
Oh, that's why he's not come out about the fucking Jews in Australia.
What happened? And so far, no one is taking any responsibility. We have our ambassador in the US sacked over his relationship with a man convicted of child sex offences.
Watch how Kenny Matlock absolutely annihilates Keir Starmer over his explosive Jeffrey Epstein links. Pure fire takedown. Well, before I show you the full footage, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to be updated every time we post. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Already subscribed? Thank you.
What's more, and this tells you everything you need to know, this was an appointment apparently forced through by the Prime Minister and or his Chief of Staff. We see a political ally pushed ahead of qualified candidates because the Prime Minister and Morgan McSweeney admired his talent for mixing with the rich and powerful, despite his known links to a man who was publicly known as a convicted paedophile and a convicted sex trafficker. It is now very clear, given the speeches that we've heard before, Mr. Speaker, and everything in the public domain, it is now very clear that Peter Mandelson should never have been appointed. And it is now also clear that the Prime Minister knew that there were major concerns when he came to this House just last Wednesday. But instead of taking action, he expressed confidence in him. Why on earth did he do so? Was he poorly advised, or was it just his own poor judgment? In every single one of his government scandals till date, far from being the decisive man of conscience he promised to be, he has shriveled from leadership. He has dodged responsibility. He has hidden behind others, just as he's doing today, and he has come to this House and hidden behind process and lawyerly phrases. The Prime Minister has shown no courage, no judgment, no backbone. And if he can't see it, if they can't see it, I can assure them that the British public can. Prime Minister has turned out to be everything he claimed to uphold. This is a government of sleaze and scandal, and Labour MPs know it. I'll be interested to see how many of them actually stand up to defend their government. Mr. Speaker, the British public, and especially the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, deserve that for once the Prime Minister be straight and honest with us. He must immediately do 3 things. As I said earlier, Mr. Speaker, he must apologise to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein for ever having appointed Peter Mandelson as ambassador. How is it that this has still not happened? No apology. Second, as I said, he must publish the Mandelson-Epstein files in full, all the information that he had at his disposal, both when he made the appointment and when he came to the House last week expressing full confidence. And third, he must make sure that someone takes responsibility. Everyone now agrees that Peter Mandelson should not have been appointed. We've heard so much from my right honourable friend about endless scandal, conflicts of interest with China and indeed with Russia. So why was he appointed? Was it a failure of vetting? Was it that the advisors hid information from the Prime Minister? Or was it that the Prime Minister knew and made the decision anyway? Someone needs to take responsibility. I give way to my right honourable friend.
To my right honourable friend, and does she agree that we've seen a rapid transformation from the Prince of Darkness into a grovelling Lord Yum Yum? But one has to ask, why was the British Prime Minister surprised? Had he never heard the tale of the turtle and the scorpion that meet at the side of the river? Shouldn't the Prime Minister have realised that the poor old scorpion simply can't help what's in its nature?
I completely agree with my right honourable friend. I think the story is The Frog and the Scorpion. It's one of my favourite childhood stories. Everyone knows. Everyone knew what Lord Mandelson had been up to. It is simply not tenable for anyone on those benches to hold the line on this one, to bury their heads in the sand and hope it goes away, least of all the Prime Minister. But we now know that the Prime Minister was aware of the compromising emails last Wednesday at Prime Minister's questions, and yet he came to the House and said that he had confidence in his ambassador, and many of them cheered. Now they're all looking at their phones. Most of them don't have the courage to look me in the eye. They were cheering last week. Now they're full of shame. Why on earth did he do that? At any point, did he ask his staff, oh sorry, are they proud? Are they proud? No. I'll continue. At any point, did he ask his staff what more information might surface? Because that morning, Lord Mandelson was saying more information would surface. Did he receive a briefing about this ahead of Prime Minister's questions? It is inconceivable that he did not. Inconceivable. Ministers are now claiming that new information subsequently came to light, new information that they didn't have. The story is all mixed and messed up, and they know it. What information appeared that was not in the original vetting? We'd like to hear that when the Minister gives his statement. And there are still more questions to answer. When did the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff speak with Peter Mandelson last week? And what did he discuss with him? Do they have the courage to tell us that? We are told that Morgan McSweeney spent hours on the phone to the ambassador, hours on the phone, at the same time that Lord Mandelson was dodging calls from the Foreign Office. What were they talking about? Those are questions about what happened just last week. But how did all this come to happen last year? I think the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee has asked some excellent questions. But I asked the Minister this. What led to Lord Mandelson's appointment in the first place? How was it that a man with known links to a child sex offender came to be appointed? I'll give way to the Honourable Gentleman.
An additional question is, was there any external influence? Did Tony Blair or any of his friends, Mandelson's friends, have anything to do with this appointment?
The Honourable Gentleman asked a very good question, and I hope the Minister is able to provide an answer, because all of us in this House across parties want to know. We want to know how it was that Lord Mandelson's appointment happened in the first place, because as I see it, there are only three possibilities. First, that there was a failure of vetting. But are we really supposed to believe, Mr. Speaker, are we really supposed to believe that this is the security services' fault? I don't think so. Did they not drag up the intimate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which was discussed last week? The second possibility, a bit more likely, is that the Prime Minister's advisors kept information from him. If that happened, that would be incredibly serious. Yes, I give way to the right hand.
On that particular point, does she agree with me that no matter what happened or didn't happen, that a Prime Minister, a leader, has to shoulder the responsibility, and it's absolutely appalling, the idea that they would then blame the staff around them. It is their responsibility, they answer to the House, no excuse.
My right honourable friend makes an excellent point. This is a Prime Minister who hides behind everybody else, whether it's his advisors or whether it's his junior ministers or his backbenchers. That's what he does. And if he does want to blame advisors, which one was it? Who kept it from him? Why have they not apologised and resigned? No one taking responsibility. And thirdly, which my right honourable friend alluded to, the most likely but most worrying reason of all is that the Prime Minister had plenty of information to suggest that Lord Mandelson should not be appointed. Plenty of information, but he chose to appoint him anyway. Even at the time, Mr. Speaker, eyebrows were raised about this appointment. There were very many critics, I remember it at the time. Now we're reading in the papers that the Prime Minister overruled security advice not to appoint Lord Mandelson. Is this true? The Minister should tell us. It is time, Mr. Speaker, for the Prime Minister to come clean. He needs to come out of hiding. This issue will not go away, Mr. Speaker. The government cannot play for time. We will be back here again and again until all of these documents are published. We will be back until someone takes responsibility. This is a political crisis on top of an economic crisis, all of the government's own making. They are distracted now, but they came into office with no plan for the country, no idea what they stood for, and no vision for what they wanted to achieve. And because of this, they have been lurching from disaster to disaster. Winterfield, tax rises, welfare chaos, scandal. The Prime Minister's failing leadership rebooted after just 1 year. The only plan that they came into office with was a promise they made again and again to the British public that they would restore honesty and integrity to government. That was their defining mission. That was their grand plan, and it is in tatters. So far, in a year, we have had an anti-corruption minister sacked for corruption, a homelessness minister sacked for evicting tenants,